Welcome back to the channel, everybody. I am Mick Alpha Name. So, the world's economies continue to burn. All the while, you have these governmental entities and central bank entities pointing the finger still at crypto. They continue to write these articles and make these statements about the negativities of of crypto and how crypto is a threat to their financial systems. And that's just not the case. They're pointing this way, like I said, when they should be pointing the finger at themselves. Their fiat currency, and hear me well, I've been saying this for almost an entire year. I base things on information that I read. So this is why sometimes it's very easy to see that things are going to come to pass and going to happen. Like it's just like when I said Algorand was going to go parabolic, and it did. I said Batcoin was going to go parabolic, and it did. I said Zilliqa was going to go parabolic, and it did. And I said Quant is a good hold also because it's one of the bank coins. This is a short while ago, a couple months back. And I saw what they were doing. And now you see how strong Quant has gone from like $41. People were scraping up a whole bunch of Quant at around $40. $40 to $50 range. Now Quant is $104, was $106. Listen, the predictions are easy to make. Not predictions, but like cause and effect. When you use cause and effect, it's easy to come to a solid conclusion on these particular things. And I use all of that to say this, that right now what we're looking at, when I say that the fiat currencies are the biggest threat to the Western world that anyone has ever seen, this is all based on research and articles that I've read, transcripts that I've read, and people on this channel, especially in the members only section, know what I mean. Their monetary policy is terrible. So they're going to need something to rescue them. If not, we're looking at a complete collapse. It doesn't mean it's going to happen immediately, but over time, the system will bleed out. They cannot sustain the pace at which they have printed money. Now they're going to have to, remember I have been saying for months that deflation was the biggest threat, not inflation, right? So you had inflation, then we went rapidly into stagflation. Remember I was telling that? Nobody else was saying these types of things. And I kept telling everyone, hey, stagflation is coming. Well, we've been in stagflation, stagnant inflation. It wasn't going anywhere. Actually, it was a little bit higher than people anticipated inflation. And so now if they have to continue, and they definitely need to, and they're going to have to raise interest rates again, the basis points have to go up, which means that, we've already entered rapid deceleration in a lot of different areas. If we fully move into deceleration, you're in a deflationary period. It's going to be absolutely terrible. But right now, in order to stop inflation, they literally would have to crush the economies. Not just the economies, the economy of the United States. They will have to crush the economies globally. It will affect everyone globally. All right. But they would need to do it in order to stop inflation. But here's the problem. And we're going to get back to the bank coin. This affects the bank coins. Unfortunately, is one of the reasons the bank coins are going to take off if they serve their purpose as liquidity tokens, agnostic bridge currencies, one world agnostic bridge currencies, whatever you want. They have so many different ways they can be used. Smart contracts. This is one of the reasons they're going to take off, or could take off rather. But they're they're going to need something to save them. It's like putting a Band-Aid on a bullet wound. Didn't I tell you? I said this so many times. Because, why is it like putting a Band-Aid on a bullet wound? Because they're going to continue the same monetary policy. They've been updating us on the Euro monetary policy, ECB, the Fed, and they've changed nothing. It's unbelievable. I can't even believe my eyes when I read it. They've changed nothing. So little. The things that they've discussed as changes that it's not effective whatsoever, which means the same problem is going to repeat itself. The minute they have to start printing more money like they did before, and they will, because they're too excessive. It's like giving a child a credit card, and they're just constantly printing money and sending money to erroneous things. They're not focused on what's important. They don't care about the people, and that's the problem. Meanwhile, they're taking all this tax money from the people, taxing the people into oblivion. Right? And offering the people very, very little. Look at the infrastructure. The infrastructures of the world are terrible in these so-called first world countries. So that just shows you right there that they're not doing what they're supposed to be doing. So anyway, so they're using the money in all of these variety of ways. countless billions and trillions that they are printing, have been printing, and that it will continue into the future because it's what they're used to. Unless people are able to bring in new minds, new, fresh minds that are not tethered to the old way of thinking that got people into this trouble, the world into this trouble in the first place. Unless that happens, nothing's going to change. Understand that some people, they begin to polarize themselves into a certain mental energy and they don't want to change because the negatives don't affect them. So as these systems continue to have problems, they're going to need liquidity to lean on. They're going to need solutions to lean on. They're going to need traceability for all of these ideas that they have. Right. And as they lose more control because of the lack of capabilities of the old system, they're going to need a way to control things more. And that's where the traceability of the distributed ledger technologies will come into play. Right. Immutable ledgers. You can trace and track anything, carbon credits, people, transactions. Right. So definitely they want to utilize things of that nature to whatever extent. They're definitely going to utilize, crypto or distributed ledger technologies for those particular things. So this is why they're making a big push to bring the bank coins in. You saw what the document that I released, a couple of videos back. You had Ripple on there. Ripple's in there. They're in there deep. Whether they win the contest or not makes no difference. But it shows you they're in there deep. They're one of the most beloved bank coins. You have XRP in there. You have Stellar was in there. You have FIS. I'm waiting to see if they're actually building on Hedera, which they're sitting on the governing council of. You have all of them in there in that contest as finalists for the Bank of International Settlements. They're in deep with all the different banks. The bank coins are there. They're a safe hold. And when they are utilized, the volume will be so mind-blowing. People are underestimating what's coming. But if they actually take a second to look at the data, look at the research, you can see what's coming. Now, who knows where the prices are going to go? Right now, I don't really care about that, honestly. I know it's going to make people, in my humble opinion, it's not financial advice. Okay, I don't care if you buy them or not. Makes no difference. If you sell all your coins, it would make no difference because the banks are coming. Understand that, right? So when it comes to the bank coins, I don't think anybody should care whether you buy it or not. It's not for retail. All right, so let's just get that out of the way. But it's going to make, in my humble opinion, a lot of people a disgusting amount of money because of high transaction values that could possibly move across those blockchains. I'm talking specifically about coming from the banks, and also a high volume that's going to be consistent. Consistency is key. We have not seen that type of utility ever in anything. When you have so many banks lined up, just as an example, so many banks lined up to use something like XRP, and so many banks lined up to use something like, let's say, Quant also. Look how Quant's price is exploding. This is just off of retail in a bear market where there's blood everywhere. And all the other coins are struggling because there's only 13 million Quant. When you're talking about a utility run with coins that are going to be snatched up by banks, I mean, they're just going to gobble them up. It doesn't take a whole lot to send those prices parabolic. You cannot think with a retail mind when you're talking about the bank coins. You just can't. So liquidity, smart contracts, the trust that they have. Some of them have military grade security. They're only going to be getting faster. Scalability, interoperability. We saw another document that I believe I posted in the members only section about interoperability. They've been talking about that all year. They cannot achieve interoperability without the bank coins. They can't. Interledger, overledger, XLM, XRP, Stellar, Ripple flowing, the XRP ledger flowing into each other. They are bringing the interoperability. The legacy system has never been able to solve that problem. This is why their systems take so long to send money cross borders, interbank payments. Some of the payments go missing. You think anybody wants to lose hundreds of thousands of dollars? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Matter of fact, if there's any delay, any problem, you can look on the blockchain or whatever hash graph, and you can see where that transaction was going to, where it went, what's going on with it. See, they want something like that. That's another thing that's really great, that why they're going to snatch up the bank coins. So listen, some people, they're not going to listen. That's perfectly fine. Like I said, it doesn't matter if retail buys these or not at all whatsoever. It could be not another retail investor could buy some of these. It doesn't make any difference whatsoever. When the banks step in, that's what's going to send those prices parabolic for the run that we're all waiting for that could equal generational wealth. You understand? So, you know, we have this little article here on ripple.com. I really probably could just go off the top of my head in this video. There's so much to cover. But I'm going to do a podcast later. So that podcast will probably be available on Spotify, Apple Music, Amazon Music. It's like they're making it available everywhere now. But it probably will start being available tomorrow. We're going to go into some deep stuff there. So let's just cover this a little bit here. It says financial inclusion. It will be a crypto podcast this time. More than 70% of respondents surveyed across 5 global regions believe CBDCs stand to deliver major social change within the next 5 years, with Asia Pacific ranking the highest at 89%. Let me say this. That's another thing. They are losing their ability to control countries. The IMF, the ECB, they issued loans and they control countries with debt. Okay? They say countries come to them and so-called developing nations, and the IMF, as an example, will say you need some help, and they give them a loan or give them funding, whatever support, whatever it is. And so later on, now that you have that and you took that from us, now we're going to act as a supervisory entity to you. We're going to tell you what to do. You're going to have to obey some things. We want some things done. It's a favor for a favor, real mafia type stuff. You understand? So, but here's the problem with the world economies being so devastated as of late. And trust me, it is bad out there in a lot of areas, right? And it's a horrible thing because the areas that have been building the most and exploding the most, this is why they're trying to get onto the blockchains and DLTs, right? This is why they're growing their ability to utilize the bank coins, because they know they want to get off of that system where they're made slaves to the legacy system that's going to hold them back, by the way. And now they see the opportunity to break free of that and thrive, and they can. Though it wouldn't take very long for those so-called developing nations to become very, very bounteous and to be doing well for themselves. So anyway, because the economies have been doing so bad in certain regions, there are a lot of countries that cannot pay the debts. Right? You have to make certain like payments and such like that, just like you would on a credit card or a loan or something like that. They can't pay. Right? So this is a problem because the IMF and everyone's going to come calling very soon. So what the banks are trying to do also is see now if they're issuing whatever the new SDRs, I'm pretty sure XRP. Like I've been saying this, I showed you how Ripple and the IMF began almost the same way. Agnostic bridge currency and the SDRs, agnostic bridge currency and XRP. I showed you all the documents. I gave you these original ideas. I know a lot of people have been trying to speak on that now, and hopefully they're doing a good job. But what they're going to do in the future, in my humble opinion, is take whatever those offerings are. And when they issue something to a country, they will be able to control that country. Absolutely. This is why there's a battle going on right now. Countries trying to get out ahead of the CBDCs and such, like they issue their own digital assets. I told you this before, and it's happening in a variety of different places. So that they can control the CBDCs that they issue, or not even CBDC, the national digital currencies. It doesn't make a difference. They're trying to get out ahead of that because the IMF, if they issue certain funding and such like that with CBDCs, they will be able to control you with that particular offering. They will program it to only allow a certain limit or to extract certain. I'm pretty sure they can program it to extract, like if you don't use that in a certain time period, then it's canceled out. It goes back to them. Like there's so much control that they can have because of the programmability of a CBDC. I mean, there's so many reasons why they're going to be using these particular things. Now, keep in mind with all of these different regions that they want to control and that they're going to be issuing central bank digital currencies within, they don't have the rails to do that. You know how Ripple is, and Stellar always say they're banking the unbanked or underbanked and things of that nature, and they've been building all these corridors. We've read the documents where they say, you know, we're building corridors in places that the banks can't reach, that the people don't even have access sometimes to proper banking instruments and such, right? Financial instruments. The central banks have never been able to scrape up that money. And why? Because they've never been able to get access to those particular regions and build corridors there. Some people don't respect legacy system offerings as such. They don't, right? Some people, some countries and some regions don't want it there because they see the totalitarian control that the banking system has over them, correct? All right, so they never had those corridors. So how are they going to access them? They will access them through the bank coins, which once again, with the big push from those banks, will make, theoretically speaking, will make the bank coins, XRP, XLM, Algorand, Hedera, explode. You see how this is all fitting together? They don't have a choice at this point because they were lazy. The legacy system is so lazy, just like the governments. The governments is just another piece of the legacy system. They're lazy. They don't come up with technologies. They try to ride off the back of technologies that they were kicking when the technologies were down and small, that they looked down upon when the technologies were trying to build up. They come in later and try to take everything over. This is always the way that it is. Same thing happened with the internet. Right. So they were lazy. So they did not build. So now they are reliant in a lot of ways. They can't get around it. They're going to be reliant in a lot of ways on the bank coins. And those prices are going to explode. It's going to take time. Everything happens in degrees. So I'm not saying it's going to happen immediately. Heck, but when it does begin, yes, you're going to see some meteoric rises. But even then, with the meteoric rises, it's still going to happen in degrees. It's logical. You know, and I always encourage everybody to do their own calculations of whatever price you believe you want to sell at. You know, everyone out there is intelligent. They're intelligent. They do a lot of research, especially on this channel. They have a lot of info, a lot of data. So everyone out there is going to have a different target at which they may want to sell. Some people are not going to sell because, as I iterated in the beginning of the video, they see how bad the fiat is. And if they need to get out of the US dollar, let's say the BRICS nations, if the BRICS nations come up with a one world currency, or sorry about that, a world reserve currency, and I almost rightly said a one world currency because they have been talking about that they may want their CBDC, whatever it is they're going to have, that they're going to peg to gold. They've been saying that they wanted to replace the dollar, the petrodollar, and they definitely can do that. If they want to, we'll see how it goes. We'll adjust accordingly. But let's say you may need to not want to, you may need to get out of the US dollar. And you know, it's a bad thing that the US dollar and the euro, you know, have that particular relationship where they kind of flow together. Euro was always above dollar, even though it was doing pretty bad as of late. You know, it achieved parity with the dollar as of recent. You know that. I've been keeping you guys abreast and privy of that. However, it's bad that happened because, you know, before, if you had to get out the US dollar, of course, listen, there's always gold. And like I said, make sure you have your gold charts. No, gold fluctuates. You don't want to lose money. So when it's at a low, that's when I would get into gold. If you needed to get into gold. Know when it's at a low. What was its recent low in the last week, 6 weeks, a couple months, whatever, if you want to get into something like that, so you don't lose money. But sure, you could trade out your value into gold to hold that for a while. And even then, you're going to have to know how much gold is going to be mined in the future. You have to take that into your calculations because they're going to be mining gold more than ever now. Because listen, with the BRICS nations doing what they're doing, they're going to be mining more gold than ever. Then you're going to have other countries that are maybe not part of the BRICS nations that also are going to want to peg their currencies to gold because they want to maintain their status in the world. They don't want to be left behind. And they're going to see opportunity. Some of these developing places have a lot of natural resources, right? So they're going to say, why not? So then also that's going to affect the US dollar, the US dollar's power, right? But if you wanted to get out of the US dollar, so then you have gold, but then a lot of people would have just traded that out into euro, but then the euro's not doing well. So it's like, where do you go to protect your value? So this is another reason why, circling back around, why a lot of people probably are not going to be selling their XRP, XLM, things of that nature, because there's a bigger, there is a bigger thing happening here. It is. It's not the changing of just the financial system. I love that. It's the sound of it. The new financial system. I love that. But it's not just that. It's a complete change of world systems happening right now. Whether it's intentional or they just bungled everything and it's unintentional, makes no difference. You can see it happening right before your eyes. Like one of my peers always says, you see it, it's right before your eyes. It's right there, right before your eyes, right? So it's a complete world change. So there's bigger things happening than crypto. So that's another reason why a lot of people are like, you know what, hey, XRP goes up in value, I'm just going to hold on to my XRP, because they can trade that value into anything at that point. And not only that, here's the other thing. Listen, XRP is decentralized. XLM is decentralized. So it doesn't matter what the people say in the Western world. Hey, we don't want such and such, this entity using your technology. Sure, they can still build on it if they want to. It's decentralized. Unless you're going to say it's not decentralized, and then you're going to have that used against you by the same Western world that, as an entity, as a corporation, as a business, you're going to have that used against you by the same Western world that's telling you not to allow those people to use that particular technology. So you can't say it's centralized, right? So it's decentralized, which means that they can build on it and use it. They can buy XLM, they can buy XRP, which means their value is going to be flowing into it as well. So even with the US dollar going down, it doesn't matter. More value is going to be flowing into crypto, because people, and the bank coins mainly, because all that other crypto is going to go away. You see, they're already taking actions even against the big legacy system crypto like Bitcoin. They're taking actions against that, which is mind blowing. They're not even giving them a chance to green up Bitcoin. In the European sector, they're already talking about, hey, we're thinking about and possibly going to do a Bitcoin ban. And listen, anybody else says that, it really wouldn't matter. But because I believe it was the European Central Bank said it, because they said it, then now people have to start taking that very serious. That could be problematic. So the rest of crypto, so if they're doing that to Bitcoin, the rest of crypto is in trouble. Not the bank coins though. Not the bank coins. Remember, the Bank of International Settlements loves them. The IMF has to go along with the Bank of International Settlements. Says the Bank of International Settlements is the bank of all banks. The World Bank loves them. AMFIF loves them. ECB also has to go along with it. So you see, this is why we've been covering so many documents from all of these different places. This is what we do. So we know what is to come. We know what they're actually saying. So value is going to be flowing into the bank coins from everywhere. It's just a matter of how you want to go about this, you know. Those are more reasons why the bank coins will explode, in my humble opinion. We keep an eye on it, you know, stay patient. We stay aware, very aware of what's going on. I have so many articles here, but, you know, I felt the energy to just speak to you from my mind this time. And just, you know, sometimes I think I'm at my best when I just let the energies naturally flow. And I felt that way today. So, you know, I have like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 articles here that I didn't get to. Should we do 2 videos today? Is that too much? You know, I don't know, man. I'm just going with the flow right now. But now that you have that information, what are you going to do with it? I know what I'm going to do with it. Hey, Quantum's doing pretty good, man. Isn't it exciting? You know, like these little prices don't mean anything, but it shows you the potentiality of Quant, right? Like I said, people bought a ton of Quant at $40, $41, a ton of Quant. And now it's at like $104, $106. It's pretty exciting. And I know a lot of people out there, they're going to take profit. So they're taking some good profit in this bear market. See, research pays off. Catalysts pay off. It's too strong for them to ignore. So a lot of the banks, a lot of the hedge funds, a lot of the companies out there, and a lot of the very wise people out there, they know Quant is powerful. They know Quant only has 13 million. So it doesn't take a lot to send that price skyrocketing. Now, I'm not saying that it's going to sustain this price. We don't know what is to come, right? Clearly, this is not based off of a utility run, although they could be doing some testing as well. You definitely can have some testing going on. However, this is not a pure utility run. So I don't know if it's going to sustain itself or not. It means absolutely nothing to me. Quant is a long hold, and it's definitely a big money coin. If you look at the price where Bitcoin is now, and then you look at the utility of Quant, then look at how much lower the circulating supply is with 13 million Quant, much lower than Bitcoin's circulating supply. Then you can put it together. And then you look at the fact that they have access No guarantees that the bank's going to use them, but they have access through SIA chain and SIA partners to over 500 banks. I mean, you do your calculations and look how disgusting that price of quant can be. You know, so now that you have that information, what are you going to do with it? Know what I'm going to do with it. So until next time, let's get to the money.